It's the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show, brought to you by General Fire and Safety, Raising Cane's, Perch Merch, Sunbelt Rentals, Mullen Motors, Select Plumbing, and the Kindler Hotel on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. The captain, Vershawn Jackson.
The spitting incident.
Oh, the spitting incident.
How bad was that? And do he deserve to miss more games?
I think it's despicable to spit on another human
lucky
being.
this guy had a shield on his face. What happened? The guy from Oregon, the receiver, spit in the guy's face from Ohio State.
Why did he do that?
Man,
you don't spit on the guy.
Back and forth.
You don't spit on the guy. I would never do that again. I said again.
I was going to ask you about that from one spitter to another spitter.
No, come on, guys. Listen, guys.
Years ago.
27 years ago.
Yeah.
Guys, don't hold that against me.
This is the Adam Carriker Show.
Position right of the quarterback, out of the shotgun, 1st and 20. Jailbreak screen in the air. It is tipped. It is intercepted by Carriker at the Missouri 21-yard line.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, 8-year NFL vet and All-American defensive lineman Adam Carriker.
Shotgun snap to Everett. He's got the left arm going, and now he's got a whole lot of Adam Carriker who rips him down inside the 25-yard line.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Adam Carriker.
All righty. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to a Tuesday edition of the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. Check out all things The Ticket at theticketfm.com. All things Carriker Chronicles at carrikerchronicles.com, also on YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen, the fastest 2 hours in radio just ended, but the most loaded hour doesn't mean better. Just means there's a lot to talk about. The most loaded hour in radio has begun. The Adam Carriker Show, the show that gives you unique insights, unbridled honesty. Jake, are you awake today?
I'm awake.
He literally jolted from a deep sleep. I could see it. All right. Producer Jake and I are going to have a lot of fun in the process. It is a loaded show. First of all, send in your questions, your comments, your thoughts, your concerns, your reactions. If we're wrong, correct us, especially if it's Jake, me, you can let us slide. To the Sutter Heyman text line. What's that number, Jake?
402-464-5685.
All right. I do have to give a couple of final thoughts. Here's a quick show rundown. Then we're going to do the actual show itself. Number one, I never actually gave final thoughts on whether Ryan Day should be like the whole Fire Ryan Day thing that's going through some of the Ohio State. If you go to their message boards, don't spend a lot of time there. It's not worth it. But I took a glance and, well, it was entertaining for me. I'll give final thoughts to that. My wife listened to the show yesterday, did not text in. I said, why did you not text in? I needed confirmation. She said, I was busy. I was working. I had the kids at home. You know what I said to her? I said, no boudoir for you tonight. Yeah, who am I kidding? I didn't say that. I'm not going to punish myself. But she was listening. We got a lot of other stuff today. I was pondering something for a second. You know what? I tend to say crazy things. I'm going to hold that one to myself. All right. What else we got here today? The AC poll. The first ever. You've heard of the AP poll, the coaches poll, which people don't talk about as much anymore. A lot of credit seems to go to the AP poll. And I almost always, everybody has their own thoughts, their opinions, thoughts. Otherwise, when it comes to rankings and ratings and power rankings versus just straight up rankings and who would win and how you're going to decide who should be where in your own potential poll if you were to have your own personal poll. The AP poll, hey, those guys work hard. They know their stuff. But my issue has always kind of been, because I've heard people talk about the coaches poll in the past, where they're so focused on their team, how can they know what's going on across the country? A lot of times there's friends. How do are they just voting for their friends if they're ever, not sure who to vote for? The guys in the AP poll, guys who are highly dedicated to what they do. But at the same time, if you're so focused on one team, how can you really know what's going on nationally? The preseason rankings are a lot of fun. They're phenomenal, but it's hard to get out of the preseason rankings once you see who a team really is sometimes. So for me, and I even asked Jake, because he knows, all I ever like Husker sports, football, and it used to be wrestling in this mix, but those are the two things I'm so focused on is Husker sports and football on a national level. Like, I will walk in and I will have this, like all these freaking notes. These are all my notes that I took from the games this past weekend, so far this year, putting together my AC poll. And I'll tell you right now, my top 5 is different from the AP poll. My top 10 is different. My top 15 is different. I do not view Notre Dame how other people view them. I do not view BYU how other people view them. I don't know why Iowa State's a top 10 team. Just to give you a couple of ideas. I do not have Penn State ranked third in the country behind Texas and Oregon, with all due respect to the Nittany Lions, who can prove a whole lot in a couple of weeks when they welcome Ohio State to Happy Valley, but they ain't done that yet. USC's a pretty good team. You go on the road, you get outrushed, the other team outgains you, you lose the turnover battle, find a way to win, but it's a team that's 3-3, and you barely win, and I'm supposed to move you up in the rankings and punish somebody else who just took the number 2 team in the country down to the wire, lost by a point. I don't know. I'll explain why I have certain teams ranked higher, why I have certain teams ranked lower. I do not have Michigan in the top 25. Okay? They're just outside of the top 25. But we'll get into all that later. I'm getting a little bit of the cart before the horse. Now, again, a cart before the horse. Now, with all due respect, the guys who vote in the AP poll, they do a good job. But a lot of times they're so focused on one team. How can they know what's going on nationally? Of course, you're going to have your East Coast bias because that always happens. And so for me, I'm a guy who spends all my time on Husker sports and national college football. Like, if Jake, he knows I'm a WWE fan. If he grilled me on WWE right now, I wouldn't really know what to say other than The Rock just came back. Other than The Rock just came back, which if you've got a phone, you see those videos everywhere. I don't really know a whole lot. So I spent a lot of time putting this AC poll, the first ever one, together. We're going to preview Indiana. Are they they're untested, but just how untested are they? How in the world were they a 3.5-point favorite? Then last I looked, it was 6.5. Has it gone up another 82 points since I looked last night? Nobody's played any football, yet the spread is like doubled. What is it now, Jake?
Yeah, it's at 6.5.
Still at 6.5. I'm surprised it's not like 12 by now. Nobody's played any football, yet we're a bigger underdog than we were at this point last week. I don't understand it. Indiana's a good football team. I'm not saying they're not a good football team. I'm not going to sit here and pound the table saying we're definitely going to beat them. I'm not going to do that. What I'm saying is they're untested, and I don't understand how nobody plays any football and the spread just keeps growing. That was something that was pretty interesting to me. Mo Berry's going to join me about 12:25. All right, what else we got here? Talked about the text line. All right, final thoughts on the whole Ryan Day thing. Now, here's the deal. If you're not Oregon, you're not Michigan, Ryan Day is 25-0 against you since he took over. All right, and I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this, but I did not put a button on it yesterday, and I don't like it when I say I'm going to do something and then I just spaced it off, so I'm putting a button on it today. Ryan Day, 2-4 in bowl games. Now, as a Nebraska fan, you're like, they've been to bowl games. Well, their expectation is a little bit different. Hopefully, 6 years from now, we've been to 6 bowl games, if not a couple of college football playoff appearances, maybe a Big Ten title game appearance, maybe a win. Who knows? I know we got Indiana Saturday. We'll start there. 1-3 versus Michigan. That's never. I mean, you could be 99-0 against everyone else. You're 1-3 versus Michigan. That's never going to endear you to Buckeye Nation. 1-7. This was the one that actually stood out to me the most. 1-7 versus college football playoff top 5 teams. So when I said 25-0 versus everybody, not Michigan, not Oregon, that was regular season. 0-3 versus the SEC. Here's what I'm going to say. You guys see how the season plays out? And if Ohio State and Oregon probably will play again the Big Ten championship game and Ohio State wins that, with all due respect to Oregon, this game's going to be a distant memory. Celebrate. Enjoy. The game that really matters is coming up in December. Phenomenal game. Like a 5-star game this past Saturday. Much like Alabama, Georgia. I would even give that 5.5 stars out of a 5-star rating. But the games that matter most, the games that you remember are played in November and December. So those are still coming up. Okay. What I would say is if you're a Buckeye fan, and I said this before the season, I will be consistent with this. You spend $20+ million. Your expectation is that you at least get to the national title game. If that doesn't happen, then you've got to evaluate. All right. We got a coach that's gotten us to the college football playoff. Maybe a Big Ten championship this year. Depends on what happens the rest of the season. College football national championship game on the cusp of a couple times. Can we do better? Because if you were to get rid of a guy like that, I'm just telling you, there aren't a whole lot of Urban Meyers just going to walk through the doors. A whole lot of Kalen DeBoer who's going to go to Washington, take it a national championship game your first year. The cupboard is loaded for whoever comes in. But it's just something to think about. Can you do better or not? That's the real question. All right, it's not really what he's done. It's what he would do in the future compared to someone you might bring in. Now let's get to what actually matters. Nebraska and Indiana. This is an Indiana team averaging 47 points per game, 515 yards of offense, 315 passing yards, number 1 pass offense in the Big Ten. I got these notes. I'm not even looking at them. 315 pass yards a game. Number 1 in the Big Ten, top 10 defense in the country, top 10 offense in the country. They're averaging, here's what actually impresses me is the balance. They're averaging just over 200.4, just over 200 rushing yards per game. They're the number 1 red zone offense in the Big Ten. They're very efficient. They look very dynamic, explosive. Even their defense can be dynamic at times. What I mean is they can cause big plays on defense, whether it be turnovers, whether it be sacks, tackles for loss, etc. Indiana, and I have them as a top 20 team as well in the AC poll coming up later. They're a very good football team. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that we've played murderer's row so far. Let me know when we got about 5 minutes in this segment, okay? Because we're cutting it short from 25 to like 15, maybe 20 at the most, okay? Because we're going to do Mo Berry and then the AC poll needs some time. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Nebraska's played murderer's row because guess what? We've not. But Colorado appears to be a decent team. Illinois is currently ranked. Just throwing those things out there. Rutgers was undefeated when we played them. I know what happened against Wisconsin. Wisconsin's season is not going down the tubes, by the way, just because they don't have their quarterback and starting running back. Hey, props to Coach Fickle. He's doing a good job out there. I'm going to root for them probably every game of the season that they play the rest of the year, except for one. All right, head coach Kurt Cignetti had one of my favorite quotes in the entire offseason. He said, "Google me, I win." Now, that rubs some people the wrong way, and I will tell you right now, Indiana fans are getting brash. So I did a Big Ten show, used to air here on the Ticket, walked away from it so I could focus on the Carriker Chronicles and the Adam Carriker Show here on the Ticket. My co-host was Rhett Lewis. There is not a more educated man when it comes to football and knowledge and understanding of football than Rhett frickin' Lewis. All right, NFL Network, Big Ten Network, Sirius XM Radio, Bally Sports. I can't even name everything that he's on. He's an Indiana insider as well. Played at Indiana. I had him on my show yesterday. Okay, the other show, I'll call it. He is a consummate professional. Never gets riled up. He was so bullish on the show when we were talking about Indiana, Nebraska. I mean, my goodness. And I even said, hey, man, I've never seen you this bullish and borderline brash. He just smiled. And there's some Indiana fans that are feeling pretty good about themselves. They're 6-0. They ain't been 6-0 since, what, 1967? Hey, I'm happy for them. My thing is this. Our 4 toughest games left on the schedule, and I'm fine with us being a dog, and it makes sense going into Bloomington. And our 4 toughest games of the season are still left on the schedule out of our last 6 games, in my opinion. But here's who they played. Florida International, Western Illinois, FCS, UCLA, worst team in the Big Ten, Charlotte. Are they in the FBS? They're not. They didn't play 2 FCS teams. Nah, Charlotte's
FBS.
Conference USA, right?
Yeah.
Maryland and Northwestern. Now they can score 31, 77, 42, 52, 42, 41. That's the amount of points they've scored. This team can score. All right, in the Big Ten, number 1 in total offense, number 1 in scoring offense, number 1 in passing offense. They have the number 2 rush defense, the number 6 pass defense, the number 2 in total defense. My thing is this. They're a good football team. They're a team that right now, in case you didn't know, according to the odds makers, has a 51% chance of making the college football playoff. By the way, Nebraska's less than 5%, if you were wondering. I got all the respect in the world. My thing is this, they're untested. They're untested. I used to know some folks from the East Coast, especially from living in D.C. for 6 years, just over half a decade. And when the Big East Conference was still around, they'd brag about, oh, this team won the Big East, that team won the Big East. I looked at them and I said, one day, Big East isn't even going to have football anymore. Well, here we are. The Big East Conference doesn't even exist in football anymore. I never imagined the Pac-12 would disappear. I did not call that one, although technically it's back. We'll get to that at a later date. That's an off-season topic. The mighty Pac-7, which is really just a glorified Mountain West Conference. For me, what you've done matters. Who you played matters more. They have yet to be hit in the mouth. Northwestern played them for about 3 quarters. Indiana pulled away. This is a team that scored 80 points in the 4th quarter. This is Nebraska is not going to be smaller. We're going to be the bigger team. They're not going to have better athletes. What they have been is they have been more consistent for 4 quarters. They haven't allowed a touchdown in the first quarter all year. Again, they haven't played Murderers Row either. We've been a little bit more tested than them. In the fourth quarter, they've scored 80 points this year. I would 100% predict Nebraska to win this game. Does that mean 5 minutes or 1 minute?
It's up to you. Depends on how much time you want for the AC.
Okay. I got about 90 seconds here. Self-imposed. Indiana scored 80 points in the fourth quarter alone. Haven't allowed a touchdown the first quarter all year. The thing that makes me nervous about them, I don't think they're more talented. I don't think they're bigger. They do have some explosive wide receivers, and their quarterback, former MAC Player of the Year, is playing really well. As good as anybody in the Big Ten versus the competition he's faced. They have not faced a defense like the Black Shirts. They have not faced a team that has the potential that Nebraska has. What makes me nervous, and I'm not 100% decided on my prediction yet, is they're more consistent through four quarters. They've scored 80 points in the fourth quarter. You know how many points we've scored in the second half all year? 48. Third and fourth quarter combined. You take out Purdue, where we scored 28 points in that second half, we have actually been outscored by our opponents. We're 5-1. Take out the Purdue game. We've actually been outscored 30. We scored 30. Our opponents have scored 38. We've been outscored by 8 points if you take Purdue out. If you add in Purdue, we've outscored our opponents by 10 points. We need to be more consistent. The special teams just needs to not be a liability. The Black Shirts need to do their thing, no letdowns, and the offense has to produce for 4 quarters. I look at this Indiana game. I don't want to overblow it. If we lose, there's still a path to winning 8 games. That includes playing Ohio State the next weekend. If we win, we have every right to get very, very excited because I do think Indiana's a good team. I also think they're very, very untested. Any final thoughts there?
No, it's that's part of the interest in this game. And of course I feel like too, like the measuring stick game is probably next week. I think if you beat Indiana, then the questions still remain, what is Indiana? Who is Indiana?
It's a good point. We'll get to Ohio State when we get there because we need to know what happens versus Indiana. I don't even want to put this out in the universe because there's a world where we're 6-1 going into Ohio State. All right, and that's a big time matchup. There's a world where we're 5-3 after Ohio State, and there's a world where if that happens, we still get to 8-4. I had Pick 6 previews on the Chronicles, and he said we'd be 5-3 after Ohio State. By the way, this does not match my prediction. I'll give my prediction on Thursday for the Indiana game. And he still had us going 8-4 because he had us beating Iowa and Wisconsin. My point is don't overreact to every game as much as this Indiana game might mean. And I'll give you a hint. I'm leaning towards Nebraska because I can't fathom that in just a matter of a few months with an Indiana team that was 3-9 a year ago, somehow Kurt Cignetti would walk in, take Indiana, not in basketball, in football, with all due respect, and leapfrog Matt Rule in Nebraska in a matter of a few months when Matt Rule's been there for 2 seasons now. I just have a hard time fathoming that. And then I think about the inconsistencies we have on 2/3 of the sides of the football that aren't the defense. I'm leaning Nebraska, but I'll give my official prediction on Thursday. I'd better be quiet. We got other segments to get to. Mo Berry will join me when we come back, and then we'll close out the show with the AC poll. Send us your text to the text line. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is State Senator Carolyn Bosson. Education is a cornerstone for strong, vibrant communities. I voted for the largest investment in education in Nebraska history. As a state senator, wife, and mom, I believe Nebraska is a great place to work and raise a family. My husband, Reggie, and I are local family business owners and understand the valuable role of education in growing our community. This is Carolyn Bosson, and I will continue to support education in the legislature. Vote Carolyn Bosson on November 5th, paid for by Bosson for Legislature.
Hi, I'm State Senator Bo Ballard. I was born and raised right here in Lancaster County. I understand the value of hard work by being involved in our family business. I built my own company, creating jobs right here in our community. Nebraska families and business owners need lower taxes, more affordable health care, and a great education system. That is why I fought for the largest tax cut in Nebraska history, reduce the cost of health care, and help pass the biggest investment in our public schools. I'm Senator Bo Ballard, and I humbly ask for your vote on November 5th, paid for by Ballard for Nebraska.
This is former Husker and NFL linebacker Jay Foreman. For years, I've suffered from degenerative problems in both of my ankles, but thanks to a thorough and thought-out plan provided by Advanced Medical Imaging, I was able to get my life back with the least amount of pain as possible. While working through multiple options, the team of physicians at Advanced Medical Imaging were there to answer any questions I had. If you're experiencing any pain at all and want to get your life back, go to amimaging.com or give them a call at 402-484-6677. Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard.
Tune in to 93.7 The Ticket as soon as the clock hits 0 for the Jay Foreman postgame show. Listen to expert analysis from the Husker Hall of Famer, an 8-year NFL veteran, for 90 minutes after the game. The Jay Foreman postgame show, sponsored by Anderson Ford, Tanner's Bar and Grill, Tavern 180, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Vinnie Kreekak of State Farm Insurance, and Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Imagine a world where your office IT runs smoothly, securely, and effortlessly. A day where you aren't worried about the next outage or password compromise. At Hamilton, we take care of everything from monitoring and maintenance to security and support. We partner with your business to design integrated technology solutions that fit your needs now and your goals for the future. With on-site and remote IT support options, we're always just a call or click away. Elevate your IT with Hamilton Managed IT. Hire Hamilton at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Mulberry Barbecue by Single Barrel is the answer to all your lunch and dinner cravings. They have everything from smoked turkey sandwiches to brisket burritos to burnt-in sandwiches and pulled pork. Try a dinner plate option of barbecue nachos, a half-smoked chicken, a full slab of ribs, and so much more. Don't forget their great sides like mac and cheese, cheesy potatoes, barbecue beans, or red slaw. Mulberry Barbecue by Single Barrel, open Monday to Saturday from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. at 11th and Cornhusker Highway.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just a professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, our passion. For happier, healthier furry friends.
The McKinney's Irish Pub in the Haymarket is your place for English Premier League soccer. On Saturday, Tottenham plays West Ham at 6:30 a.m., and then Newcastle plays Brighton at 9 a.m. To cap off the Saturday action, Arsenal plays Bournemouth at 11:30 a.m. On Sunday, Man City takes on Wolves, while Liverpool plays Chelsea to try to stay atop the EPL standings. You can catch all these matches and more at the McKinney's Irish Pub, your headquarters in Lincoln for English Premier League soccer at 8 and B.
You can help fight deadly diseases like RSV and influenza while getting paid for your time. Velocity Clinical Research is now seeking clinical trial participants in your area. Participants can receive compensation for study-related time. No health insurance is needed to join. Find a study near you at velocitytrials.com. That's velocitytrials.com.
Garage doors can be expensive. Are you keeping yours in the best condition possible? This is Cameron Hall with Doors Plus. Doors Plus is a locally owned business that prides itself on the fast, reliable, and friendly service. Doors Plus offers flexible scheduling so you can book an appointment that fits your busy day. My team and I will come out to your property, both commercial and residential, and provide you with the necessary information you need to make sure your garage door is in working and smooth condition. Give Doors Plus a call today at 402-590-5800 to book an appointment and learn more about our preventative maintenance plans. Doors Plus, garage doors, and more.
If you're not advertising your business on your vehicle, you're missing out on a lot of potential clients, and it's time to change that. Automotive Solutions excels in vinyl wraps and company IDs. They offer BG services with free warranties available, and they service all cars and diesel trucks too. They also service fleets, and if you push snow in the winter, get ahead now with your vehicles. Don't forget, ticket listeners receive a service discount on preventative maintenance. Call Automotive Solutions for an appointment at 531-249-5600 and stop by at 2040 Southwest 5th Street in Lincoln.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Infrastructure, a veteran-owned local company proudly serving Lincoln, Lancaster County, and the surrounding areas. Bauer provides quality work at an affordable price, and they're growing rapidly. If you want to experience a career with a fast-paced, family-friendly environment, visit BauerInfrastructure.com. They have top-of-the-line benefits, year-round work, even through the winter. Bauer, usher in the new era of infrastructure to an area near you. And as always, go Big Red!
The dangers of secondhand smoke are well known. But what about secondhand aerosol, which is created when using e-cigarettes? Science already shows a secondhand aerosol can contain nicotine, heavy metals, and cancer-causing agents. Eliminating exposure to secondhand aerosol is an important step to keeping everyone safe. Breathe easier knowing the facts.
For help quitting, call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
If you smell, stop looking at me like that, Rico. What the Carriker is cooking. Rico shaking his head and smiling. He knows he loves it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got a special guest. I don't want to waste any time. I want to get right to it. Two-time All Big Ten performer. This is a man that was a team captain, Tom Novak, native son award winner, defensive team MVP, academic All Big Ten for 4 straight years. Mr. Mo Barry, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well, Adam. Thanks for having me.
Dude, I appreciate you joining me. All right, Indiana. I don't know how much of them you've seen so far this year. They got the #1 offense in like the Big Ten passing offense. They're averaging just over 200 yards rushing a game. It's like we don't play any football games and the spread gets worse. I don't understand how that happens, but give me your thoughts, just initial impressions of the Hoosier Daddies.
Well, with Indiana, I feel like, balanced team now. I believe on the pass game, they're more elite at. They have a lot of talent, a perimeter. Quarterback knows how to distribute the ball. Really like they have a two-headed monster at running back. I think they could get the job done there as well. I don't think it's not many things that they don't do well. I think they're a very capable team on offense, and pressure and getting in the backfield, being disruptive is the key to them, because they have a lot of talent in the perimeter and they have capable running backs to get it done as well.
Dude, how do you – sorry, go ahead. I was just going to say, how do you think Kurt Cignetti has turned them around so quickly? They were 3-9 and pretty bad last year. They could easily be 9-3 or better this year. What's the biggest difference you've seen from last year to this year on the Indiana football team?
Well, I would say talent, I think with the transfer portal and NIL, they've been able to have some real impressive athletes. Like I said, in the perimeter, I really like their wide receivers. I've actually been watching many of our opponents. I watched them all year just to gauge how we would fare against them. So, just watching Indiana, I feel like it's a talent level. They just don't look like an Indiana team, or certainly not an Indiana team of last year. So they have a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. I like their defense. They play with high motors. They always have some good linebackers throughout the years. But I think they got real solid on the D-line as well, or better on the D-line than last year. So, yeah.
So in a 3-3-5 defense, like Tony White's running, you're going to have more speed, more athletes on the field. Okay, how do you think we stack up with them on the perimeter, their athletic wide receivers? Because I don't think they're going to be more athletic than us, but how do you think we stack up on the perimeter with them when it comes to our defense?
Well, I think we, I love Nebraska's defense and their defensive backs. One thing I've been worried about is our pass coverage. I believe that Illinois really did expose us in ways where we are deficient in the pass game. I think Colorado had opportunities there. I think Rutgers, they had a wide open receiver. If you recall that play,
I do.
Who dropped a fly ball, and I feel like that could have been a different game with many of those factors happening. But I believe that they have a skill level. They know how to run routes. And how do we fare against great route runners is our thing. I feel like Indiana would know how to do, back shoulders, know when to break off their routes, know how to use the cushion against us or use our aggression against us. Things like that is what makes a better receiver, regardless of your talent or athletic ability. I think those guys know it, they get it, and they have they got a good camaraderie, good chemistry with their quarterback, and that's what's I think would be scary there because we just got to get better at defending routes and understanding what they're trying to do.
Yeah, so it looks like Tommy Hill's expected to be back this week. They said he was expected to play against Rutgers. He actually ruptured the inside part of his foot jogging onto the field, which they said was actually a good thing because it helps alleviate some of the pressure and some of the problem. He's got to get through the whole week of practice, but he's expected to play this week. He's had 2 weeks since the Rutgers game, obviously, to heal up. Zaire Wright gets a black shirt, so we got Marquise Buford. So the more DBs we can have, the better. But I'm kind of curious because Zaire got a black shirt, but Matt Rule talked about, Marquise Buford texting Matt Rule, hey, we got to get a black shirt. We got to get black on Buschini, talking about a black shirt. And a lot of the defensive guys were like, hey, we got to get Buschini a black shirt. What are your thoughts on Brian Buschini, the punter, getting a black shirt?
Honestly?
Yeah.
I don't think that should happen. I mean, it's a punter. I mean, look, I think he played he definitely helped us win that game from a field position. But then again, this is tradition. I don't know, Adam, did your punter get a black shirt?
So the way we did it, anybody who didn't get a black shirt, if you were a senior and you made it all the way through, okay, and you were a senior, back when we went to bowl games every year, every senior on defense would get a black shirt the week, or I think it was the night before the bowl game, and that included any senior punters
the bowl game,
too. Yes. So that's how it worked.
Yeah, no, definitely get that tradition of the end. I just feel like, again, my biggest thing here is I really love this team. I love what Rule is doing. I just don't want our players to step out of character and just keep everything that you're doing right now. The focus is not on the black shirt. The black shirt doesn't matter. It's who's wearing the black shirt, what's behind it. I think that the focus shouldn't be who's getting a black shirt, who's not. That's a coach decision there, Trust your coaches. They know who earned it or not. I just want us, to be focused on really what matters. And if we get 8 games this year, if we get, to a bowl game, that is what matters. So, whether it's deserved or not, or is indifferent, I'm indifferent to it. I just think that it doesn't matter to what we're trying to accomplish right now.
So kind of going back to what you were mentioning earlier about the transfer portal and teams being able to change quickly, their talent level quickly. Curtis Rourke, transfers in. He's the quarterback from Ohio, transfers into Indiana. And I remember in the preseason, I remember talking about him and being very curious how he was going to do. This was a guy with 33 career starts before he ever stepped foot in Bloomington. He was the MAC Offensive Player of the Year in 2022. And you watch him on film. He's incredibly impressive. They haven't faced a defense as good as the Black Shirts yet this year. They haven't really been tested or punched in the mouth just yet. I'm curious to see what the Black Shirts can do. But what are your thoughts on him? Because Matt Rule talked about he might be playing as well or better than any other quarterback in the Big Ten Conference so far.
Yeah, I watched that Maryland game, and I thought he just has great touch on the football. He really knows how to put it there. One thing I really like about Raiola is the same thing. Some quarterbacks possess that magical touch with the football, and they just know how to position it very well. And that's something he has. He could throw it deep. He could do intermittent pass, medium to short. He could place the ball anywhere on the field. Then going back to the Maryland game, pressure is always the thing. The best defense is getting pressure on the quarterback, and that was disruptive to him as well in that Maryland game. So I think how we handle a guy like that is really we got to get after him and then make him guess on where the blitz is going, make him fear the blitz more than thinking about what he's going to do downfield.
All right, man. I think I may already know this. We've talked a lot about defense specifically. So this can stay with the defense, or you can take this to any aspect of the Huskers you want, offense, defense, special teams. But if you were to say this is probably the biggest key to the Huskers having success versus Indiana on Saturday, what's your single biggest key to the game for Nebraska this weekend?
I would say is balanced football and offense is number one. We have to play balance. We do have to score points. We have to get there, but we have to give the running backs more touches. And not only running backs, we need to establish a running back, a game changer, whether that's Dowdell or whomever. We need someone to get into rhythm and really be that guy that we look to when our offense is struggling, and someone who could keep the Indiana opposing offense off the field, let them, we can't have them get into rhythm. So the second point is our pass rush. We have to have a great pass rush. We have to be disruptive. We have to have them guessing on where the rush is going. And I think Tony White is going to do a good job at that. And then, of course, it has to be kicking and special teams. I mean, if we can't do that, if we can't rely on 3 points inside the 30 or whatever, I mean, that has to change. That's, we have high school teams in Omaha doing that better than we are right now. And we have to be good at special teams, or at least competent in that side of the ball. So I think those three factors, and we will play a good game and hopefully win.
I'm sure you've heard this, but Indiana's one of only two teams in the country, Indiana Army, who haven't trailed all year. I saw this interesting stat, though. Through 6 games, 360 minutes, Nebraska's only trailed for 15 of those minutes. That was to Illinois, and they went up 7-0 with 11:54 in the first. Nebraska then took the lead 7-10 with 32 seconds left in the first and never trailed again until overtime. Then Purdue trailed Purdue for 3 or 4 minutes in the third, but that was really it. Okay.
Yeah.
What's your score prediction for the game? Who you got winning?
Well, this is a hard one. I would go with 28-35. I think this is a game of touchdowns. I think that we're gonna, regardless of what has transpired through the bye week, I think we're gonna really be aggressive on getting touchdowns. I think that it's going to be a high-scoring game. I love our defense, but I just think they're going to have some moments where a touchdown is given up. But I really feel like the offense is going to come out ready to go. I think they're going to launch it down the field. They're going to air it out, and we're going to be able to, get behind that defense sometimes. So, 28-35.
Who has 35? Who has 28?
Nebraska.
That's 35?
Nebraska win.
All right.
Yeah,
all right.
yeah.
Well, I just want to clear that up. I wasn't sure myself. So I appreciate you taking the time, as always. I know you're doing your thing in Omaha, selling a whole lot of homes, having a whole lot of success. So best of luck with that in the future, and thanks for joining me.
Yep, Adam, it's a pleasure, and go Big Red.
All right, don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. The AC poll will make its debut when we come back.
Mulberry Barbecue by Single Barrel is the answer to all your lunch and dinner cravings. They have everything from smoked turkey sandwiches to brisket burritos to burnt-in sandwiches and pulled pork. Try a dinner plate option of barbecue nachos, a half-smoked chicken, a full slab of ribs, and so much more. Don't forget their great sides like mac and cheese, cheesy potatoes, barbecue beans, or red slaw. Mulberry Barbecue by Single Barrel, open Monday to Saturday from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. at 11th and Cornhusker Highway.
The McKinney's Irish Pub in the Haymarket is your place for English Premier League soccer. On Saturday, Tottenham plays West Ham at 6:30 a.m., and then Newcastle plays Brighton at 9 a.m. To cap off the Saturday action, Arsenal plays Bournemouth at 11:30 a.m. On Sunday, Man City takes on Wolves, while Liverpool plays Chelsea to try to stay atop the EPL standings. You can catch all these matches and more at the McKinney's Irish Pub, your headquarters in Lincoln for English Premier League soccer at A&B.
An hour ago, you didn't need a plumber. Now you're in a panic. When life throws you a surprise with a clogged drain, plugged or leaky toilet, broken pipe, leaky faucet or water heater, or a bathroom or kitchen plumbing upgrade, whatever. Just call Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. 467-1111. Keep that number handy, 467-1111. Or go to BryantLincoln.com. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. We do whatever it takes.
Get rid of pesky critters once and for all with Bats to Rats. Their expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstorats.com for amazing offers. And if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Call Bats to Rats today at 402-781-8691. That's 402-781-8691. Bats to Rats.
This is former Husker and NFL linebacker Jay Foreman. For years, I've suffered from degenerative problems in both of my ankles, but thanks to a thorough and thought-out plan provided by Advanced Medical Imaging, I was able to get my life back with the least amount of pain as possible. While working through multiple options, the team of physicians at Advanced Medical Imaging were there to answer any questions I had. If you're experiencing any pain at all and want to get your life back, go to amimaging.com or give them a call at 402-484-6677. Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard.
Have you been told by your physician that your testosterone level is fine, but you don't feel fine? Get a second opinion. If your testosterone level is 200, 350, even 500, and you still have symptoms, come to Limitless Male. We treat the person and the symptoms, not the number. Our mission is for you to feel optimal again. So if you're tired all the time, no energy, brain fog, muscle loss, nothing left in the tank, get your free consult at limitlessmale.com.
Hi, it's Joel Norman, the voice of your Lincoln Stars hockey team. Tune in to 93.7 The Ticket to hear the latest on the Stars with myself, head coach Rocky Russo, and special player guests.
A commitment to volunteer service is one of the many things that makes Nebraska so special. Volunteers give their time, energy, and resources, and they ask for nothing in return. The Step Forward Awards ensures they're recognized for all they do. Those honored this year for the impact they've made in their communities are Gretchen Mack of Omaha, Kira Montiel of Papillion, Vern Hickok of Cairo, Mildred Moody of Gehring, Blue River Arts Council in Crete, Nebraska Land Bank in North Platte, Lincoln Industries in Lincoln, Cinderlyn Meredith of Seward, Deb Zobel of Ashland, Sally Harms of Wisner, Senator Diana Shimmick of Lincoln, and Rick Weimer of West Point. Serve Nebraska thanks all nominators, nominees, and sponsors for helping us celebrate volunteerism. To learn more about the Step Forward Awards and this year's honorees, visit serve.nebraska.gov. Sponsored by Serve Nebraska, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Tanner's Bar and Grill is the best place in Lincoln for a casual get-together, best place to watch a game, and the best for pre- and post-game. Catch college and NFL football as well as the volleyball action this season at Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill. What's better than wings, cold beer, and a Husker win? Enjoy great food and drink specials every day and tons of TVs to catch all the action. Tanner's Bar and Grill, 30th and Yankee Hill.
Constructors is now hiring for all positions, with laborers starting at $23 and up based on experience. Constructors has immediate job openings for laborers, mechanics, bridge builders, operators, and drivers. Start your new career today. Constructors offers great pay, health, dental, and vision insurance, paid time off, paid holidays, and so much more. Join the crew today and be a part of Nebraska's oldest paving company dating back to 1908. For a complete list of openings and to apply online, visit constructorslincoln.com.
Are you worried about storm damage causing issues with your basement? F Foundation Repair fixes basements with supreme waterproofing and exact concrete leveling for residential or commercial clients. They service wet basements, leaky walls, damp crawl spaces, bowing or cracked bricks or drywall, and more. Whether you're in Southeast Nebraska, the Tri-Cities area, or Northeast Kansas, they'll easily make the trip to you. Get a free evaluation today by visiting wefixbasements.com or call 402-804-1024. Ep Foundation Repair. We fix basements.
Hey guys, it's Austin with 93.7 The Ticket. Get ready for an NFC West battle between the San Francisco 49ers and Seattle Seahawks on Thursday Night Football starting at 6:30 p.m. Seattle gets its second straight home game and is coming off a loss to the New York Giants, while the 49ers are still in search of their first road victory of the season. Catch Thursday's game and all the biggest NFL games right here on Lincoln's home for the NFL, 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Boom. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. All right. It's the inaugural of the much anticipated, highly talked about, much heated and debated AC poll. Most people didn't even know this existed until yesterday, but don't let facts get in the way of a good story. All right. Jake, is there anything from the text line real quick?
Yeah, Sartor Heyman Jewelers text line, 402-464-5685 if you want to text in. 3994 says, my boss is a huge Buckeyes fan, and his exact words are, if we fire Day, I hope we end up like the Huskers did when they fired Frank.
Ooh, like I said, it's not about what he's done. It's about what you think he can do in the future compared to what you think another potential coach could do for you. Just keep that in mind, Buckeye fans. All right, let's get to that inaugural AC poll. The top 25. We're going to start at 1 through 25 because Jake made a good point. We don't want to have to get to our top 5 at the end, run out of time, and then rush. All right, just give me the old break symbol with about 2 minutes to go, if you don't mind, Jake. All right,
Sure.
here's my top 5. I'm just going to be honest with you. This first one is not one that I enjoyed, but I try my best to be objective as I can. I do not have Oregon number 1. And I know they're not number 1 in the AP poll, but I'm starting to see other people put them number 1. And I thought that was interesting. And I didn't do an AC poll when Alabama jumped to number 1, but I thought that was quite the drastic jump because Texas has looked great all year. All right, they've looked great. It makes me sick to my stomach. All right, but they've looked great. And I was like, all of a sudden Alabama just leapfrogs out everybody. They're number 1, then bam, they go lose to Vandy, and now they're not even top 5. So I don't want to overreact because Oregon did not even look on paper. They're one of the top 4 most talented teams in the country. Talked about that all offseason, but they had not looked like one of the 4 best teams in the country till Saturday. So I don't want to overreact. Texas is still number 1. They have the number 1 scoring defense in the country. They have a Heisman front runner until he got hurt. Maybe works his way back into going to New York at the end of the year. They've looked really good. They have the best offensive line in the country. They just do. It's disgusting. They're my number 1 team. Number 2 is Oregon. They're undefeated, and they have the most impressive win of the season without following up with another loss. Okay, it was pretty easy, honestly, to put Texas 1, Oregon 2. Here's where the debate was for me. An undefeated Penn State, all right, who went on the road and admittedly beat USC, who's a 500 football team. FYI, here's an interesting stat, all right, about some of the new teams to enter the Big Ten. After being top programs in the Pac-12 for the past decade, USC, Washington, and UCLA have combined for 11 losses. UCLA is in last place in the Big Ten, and USC is tied for second to last. When you think about that, all of a sudden, that USC win, which I'm not sneezing at all. But if that's your best win, and I'm looking at an Ohio State team, which I think actually has the best roster in America, is going to get another shot at Oregon. And the way this thing is set up, they might play 2 more times. 1 more in the Big Ten title game, 1 more in the college football playoff. I'm not going to punish Ohio State for playing one of the 2 best teams in the country, losing by 1 point, going down the last second on the road. So I've got Ohio State number 3, Penn State number 4. And I honestly thought about putting Georgia over Penn State. I really did. When I wrote this down, I had Georgia 4, Penn State 5. And I know what the first half looked like. I know it was 28-0 to Bam. I know it was 30-7 at halftime. Also, at one point in the second half, Georgia led 34-33 over Bam, and they came all the way back. You got to give them credit for that. Obviously, they ended up losing 41-34, but even then, it was a last-second interception that sealed the deal in that game. I did not put Georgia ahead of Penn State just because they did look so bad in that first half. Good Lord. I think Alabama had a letdown the second half. So I've got Ohio State 3, Penn State 4, Georgia 5. All right, Jake. Thoughts?
I think it's fair. I think there's a couple of one-loss teams that could jump, over. But I do still kind of question Penn State maybe being as high as they are. They've got a solid victory over Illinois, like you said, the overtime victory over USC. Struggled with Bowling Green, only beat them by 7 earlier in the year. So while it's hard for anybody to go undefeated, and I get you can plug them in there, but what separates them from Miami, Iowa State, some of these other undefeated teams? Maybe it's just their preseason ranking.
So a lot of it is the preseason ranking. Before the season, I predicted Miami to win the ACC, going 11-1. All right, that's what I had. They're 6-0 right now. They're my number 6 team in the country. They could easily be 4-2. Vatek, that call could go completely differently. All right, and Cal, they're down by 25 at one point,
yeah.
And a lot of people think the way that game ended was quite interesting. So they're 6-0. Got to go by what you've done, but I have them number 6. I have them behind Georgia. Again, Georgia's not exactly overwhelmed. Only beat Mississippi State by 10 points, gave up 31, went on the road, only scored, 13 against Kentucky. They're wildly inconsistent this year. I don't know what to make of Georgia. The talent is there. All right, then the number 2 most talented roster in America. Alabama's number 1, talent composite ranking, but Georgia has way more experience, not a ton, but way more, but not a ton. They have more experience than Alabama, but when you compare them to Ohio State, they don't have as much. Okay, so I don't know what to make of them. They're up and down. Their defense looks good, then not so much. The offense looks good, then not so much. All right, Miami, number 6. Do you realize the last 10 quarters of football that Alabama's played has been pretty bad? The second half versus Georgia, the entire game versus Vandy, and then winning by 2, 27-25 over South Carolina. And they got a little bit lucky. What South Carolina did at the end of the game in the onside kick, but they got a little bit lucky just to win the game at home. South Carolina is not a bad team, by the way. I do have Alabama number 7. I completely forgot to explain how I do these rankings. I'll go quickly. There's 4 things that I look at, and there's one thing to keep in mind. So here are the 5 things. It's a combination of what you've done, your record and who you played, and what you can do in a potential future game against somebody who's ranked close to you. All right. So if I'm debating between 6 and 7, and one team has 3 losses, one team has 1 loss, I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to a 1-loss team. But if one team has 2 losses, one team has 1 loss, but the 2-loss team has a way tougher strength of schedule, I'm going to go benefit of the doubt, 2-loss team. Now, if everything's created equal, okay, loss, strength of schedule, I'm going to go with who I think would win in a future game. So record, strength of schedule, what you do in a future game. All right. And also, not every loss that you have is created equal. I have penalized Notre Dame mightily because I look at that Northern Illinois loss as almost being worth 2. If you lose by 1 on the road to number 3 team in the country at the time, like Ohio State, that's like a half a loss to me. Okay. I know that this math doesn't add up, but I hope it makes sense. All right. But if you lose by 31 points to a team that's not ranked, that's like 1.5 losses to me. Losing to a G5 team at home, a team that's barely over 500 in Northern Illinois now, I might add. Okay, that's like 2 losses to me. So even though Notre Dame has beaten 2 ranked teams, I in my mind, they have 2 losses due to that Northern Illinois game. So it takes into consideration what you've looked like in the games you've played. In other words, who did you beat? How did you beat them? Who'd you lose to? How'd you lose to them? All right, number 7 is Alabama. Number 8 is LSU. Now, I have Clemson at number 9, which is a little bit of change from the AP poll. I do not have Iowa State in the top 10. I just don't think Iowa State has really played anybody. Their most impressive win is versus an Iowa team that I do not have in the top 25. Going into Morgantown and beating West Virginia, and they were honoring the coal miners. They had the coal miner uniforms on. My daughter goes, "What's on their helmet?" Okay, I thought it was cool looking. But they were honoring the coal miners there in West Virginia, in Morganville on Saturday. Okay, Morgantown, I should say, on Saturday. So that wasn't an easy environment. They go in, they win by 12 points. Okay, 2 possessions. I thought that was a decent win against a decent West Virginia team, not like monumentally great or anything. But that's really the most impressive thing Iowa State's done this year. I don't understand why Iowa State is rated ahead of BYU, who has more impressive wins to me. I mean, they took Kansas State to the woodshed. Kansas State's like a top 15, top 20 team if you look at the AP poll. All right, they are number 17. If you look at the AP poll, I've got them 16. So sneaking ahead just a smidge here on the AC poll, top 25. They beat them by 29 points. All right. BYU is the only team to beat SMU this year who's got a few good wins. surprisingly enough. All right. I've got Clemson at number 9. Losing 34-3 in week 1 versus Georgia is pretty bad, but they have the number 1 ranked offense in the entire ACC conference since. That includes Miami. All right. I have BYU at number 6. BYU's number 13 in the AP poll. Every time I watch BYU, they spanked Arizona. They spanked Kansas State. These aren't elite teams, but everybody they play, how are you beating them? They look really good. The closest game I've seen them have was against SMU. Everybody else has been 2 touchdowns to 3 touchdowns to 4 touchdowns worth of separation. These are decent teams. That Kansas State game actually means a lot to me. All right, so there's my top 10. You got Texas, Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, Georgia, Miami, Alabama, LSU, Clemson, BYU. So I've got BYU up a little bit higher, Clemson up higher. Iowa State is not in the top 10. I kind of don't get the love surrounding Iowa State at the moment. Their best win is a 1-point win versus a non-ranked Iowa team. I know they were ranked at the time. All right, thoughts so far, Jake?
Yeah, no, I love it. I thought the exact same thing about BYU and Iowa State. The only reason Iowa State is above BYU has to be preseason rankings or Iowa's preseason ranking of all things, because Iowa State beat Iowa, supplanted them there.
Yes.
But the one thing to keep in mind about Iowa State is they only have one ranked team in Kansas State ahead of them too. So while their path might not be the most difficult so far, it might not get a whole lot more difficult down the line either.
So you're not wrong. I've got their schedules here. BYU and Iowa State might be undefeated meeting in the Big 12 championship game. All right. BYU's rest of the schedule: Oklahoma State, UCF, not as good as we once thought. Utah, Cam Rising is killing that program. Great kid, but man, he's held them back for a couple years. Kansas, disappointment. Arizona State, shout out to Jeff Sims. All right. Houston's doing their Houston thing. Like nobody is going to be ranked on their schedule. All right, that's BYU. Iowa State, you look at the rest of their schedule. This is my issue with the Big 12 and ACC. At least the ACC appears to have a couple of top teams. The Big 12, it's kind of like who's the best of the mid-card teams. All right, they got Arkansas State, Houston, Baylor, West Virginia, UCF, Texas Tech, Kansas, Cincinnati, Utah. They're going to play one ranked team this entire year if Kansas State's still ranked to end the season. So Iowa State, BYU, probably going to meet in the Big 12 championship game. I don't know if they're undefeated, but they both might be because they don't really play a whole lot of teams. All right, we got to go a little bit quickly here. I do have Iowa State at 11, and I do not account for preseason rankings in this at all. Like, there's a reason I waited till halfway through the season. I wanted to see a body of work. Iowa State at 11. Texas A&M ahead of Tennessee. I've watched Tennessee look too ugly for too long. You tell me when conference play started, Jake. Here are the amount of points they've scored in games so far. 69, 51, 71, 25, 14, 23. When did conference play start, Jake?
I think about 25. That's probably where it started.
Dude, Nico Iamaleava got it right. Stuttered for a second. Talented freshman. Going to be a first-round pick. Maybe a Heisman winner one day. Reminds me a lot of Jaden Daniels. But he has not been the same since they started SEC play. And frankly, they should have lost to Florida, except Florida's starting quarterback tore his ACL. Prayers up, my man. He's out for the year, and the backup couldn't quite hang. All right. I have A&M ahead of them because I think A&M's actually a pretty good team, and they boat raced Missouri. An undefeated Missouri at the time a couple of weeks ago. I have Boise State at 14, and I have them ahead of Notre Dame. Why? Because Notre Dame loses to G5 teams, and Boise State is the best G5 team out there, at least as of right now, and I do think they're the best G5 team, period, going forward. They may have also the Heisman Trophy winner, Ashton Genty, their running back, has forced 48 missed tackles this season. It's actually the only one of the few stats where he actually ranks second among RBs. Okay, we're going to finish out the top 10. Kansas State is 16, SMU 17, Indiana 18. I dropped them. They're 16 in the AP poll. Pitt undefeated at 19, Missouri 20, Ole Miss with 2 losses, 21, Illinois 22, Army 23, undefeated 6-0, Navy 5-0. All right, number 24, Vandy 4-2, 25. Army and Navy could meet in the AAC championship game and then play the very next week in their regularly scheduled game where they have that Saturday afternoon all to themselves. Yeah. That could happen conceivably. Michigan is not ranked. Number 26, Nebraska's 27. I'm just waiting for that Indiana game, and I'm waiting to pop them in the top 25 or top 20. And I have Iowa at 28. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts, reactions to the initial AC poll. Until next time, go Big Red Nose. Remember to throw the ball.
Have you been told by your physician that your testosterone level is fine, but you don't feel fine? Get a second opinion. If your testosterone level is 200, 350, even 500, and you still have symptoms, come to Limitless Male. We treat the person and the symptoms, not the number. Our mission is for you to feel optimal again. So if you're tired all the time, no energy, brain fog, muscle loss, nothing left in the tank, get your free consult at limitlessmale.com.
It's the fall sports season, and that means that the school year is back in session and you're planning road trips for Nebraska football games and following your kids around to their different events. Stop telling yourself you'll upgrade your car someday and do it now. Mullen Motors lot is full of great vehicles to take home so you don't have to worry about your current car struggling through another season. Come check out their lot just north of 48th and Lake and find your next ride. As your fall schedule gets busy, you'll need a reliable way to get to your destinations. Mullen Motors.
No taglines, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Coppell Chevrolet GMC. And we want to thank all of our customers for a great September. And now it's time for our annual Halloween sales event happening right now at Coppell. Get